trig. Here we only have two examples. You know, I like to highlight the hypotenuse before doing anything. So remember, the hypotenuse is the side directly across from 90-degree angle right there. Okay. You can choose to complete the missing angles right there. And remember that if you were to add up all the angles from the inside of a triangle, they add up to 180. So that's what we're going to do. 180 minus 90 minus 54 will give you the missing angle right there from the other side. So 36. Because 54 degrees was given, I'm going to label the rest of the triangle based on this angle. So right here, directly across from 54 degrees is the opposite side. We already know the yellow is hypotenuse, and right here, right next door to 54 degrees is the adjacent side. Okay, so we need to find x and y both for both examples. So we're going to find x first just because that's what is there. So I have the adjacent side given, and I'm looking for x, which is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to choose from my trig functions. And I have two of them that I use that have the hypotenuse in. So I know for sure I'm not using tangent. So in the one that calls for adjacent over hypotenuse is the cosine. And that's the reason why I'm going to use the cosine function. So cosine of 54 degrees equals adjacent. So the adjacent is 8 over the hypotenuse, which in this case is x. Okay, how do you solve that? I'm going to solve right here in the bottom. So if I have cosine over 54, cosine of 54 equals 8 over x, you would have to multiply both sides by x. So here, x divided by x, I get 1. So now I have x cosine of 54 equals 8. And now we need to isolate x, so you divide both sides by cosine of 54. So cosine of 54 divided by cosine of 54 is 1. Therefore, here I have x equals 8 over cosine of 54. Okay, so now if you want to write yourself a little reminder here, this is the function I'm using, or this is what I'm plugging in the calculator. One thing that a lot of people forget when you're dealing with trigonometry, your calculator must be in degrees. So go mode, and you have to select degrees. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. Okay, so we're going to do the fraction right there, and this is what I'm plugging in the calculator. So 8 over cosine of 54. Voila. And since we're here, let's just use 4 decimal places. So 13.6104. So 13.6104. All right, so now I need to find y, and y is that one right there. I have opposite, and I have adjacent. Okay, so opposite and adjacent, I'm going to use tangent. So tangent of 54 equals opposite, so y over adjacent 8. So y over 8. Okay, here you can just simply cross multiply. You don't have to solve for anything like we had to do on the x right there. So I know my calculator is already in degrees, so just go ahead and type in tangent of 54 times 8. We are using 4 decimal places, so 11.0111. Okay, the second example, very similar, but I like to highlight the hypotenuse, so there's no questions about that. You can choose to fill in the missing angle right there. You know that they all add up to 180. So it's 180 minus 90 minus 50. So the missing angle is 40 degrees right there. So the equation to find x, I have to label everything before I get started. I already know that's the hypotenuse. Right there, opposite to 50 is opposite to 50. And here, right close to it, is adjacent. Okay, we're finding x first, and I'm going to use opposite and hypotenuse. So opposite, hypotenuse, therefore sine of 50. I will use opposite, so x over hypotenuse 11. Easy, just like what we did here. You just multiply them. And my calculator is already in degrees. So 8.4265. If you need to pause for a second and see what this really means, it means it's the length of this leg right there. Okay, so the hypotenuse is always going to be the longest. So here, x, since you got a number less than 11, so you're on the right track right there. So the length of this side is 8.4265. Okay, finding y is adjacent to 50, and I also have the hypotenuse. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine of 50 is adjacent, which is y over hypotenuse 11. So punch it in. Cosine of 50 times 11, 7.0707. Okay, so that's all I got for you. If you want to make sure that you're tracking your work and if it makes sense, since this angle is bigger, this side will be bigger. Since the adjacent side right there is right across from 40, it should be slightly smaller than that one. Okay, goodbye.